कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे.
Radio Fiji 2.
In the news tonight, FRA diverts $40 million for TCASA repairs. More infants born with diabetes. And television remains popular.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
The Fiji Roads Authority has had to divert $40 million to repair roads damaged by TCASA. Infrastructure Minister Choni Sumate says this is money taken away from projects planned for the year. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Infrastructure Minister says the FRA will have to plan better in order to patch up potholes, but redirecting money to TCASA damage doesn't help.
They can patch up as many of the potholes as possible and at the same time try to have some funds to rehabilitate some roads that they had already planned. They've had to redivert up to $40 million.
The FRA has $334.8 million for capital expenditure for this financial year. Usmate says road rehabilitation is an expensive affair.
It costs far much more, so they will have to be balancing that out for the rest of this financial year.
The Fiji Roads Authority for its part is trying to get the road surface right before liaising with the Land Transport Authority and the Fiji Police Force to optimize traffic flow.
Three groups are working together to get the most economical solution for this flow of traffic.
Rehabilitation is currently underway in Lakemba Street in Samambula, Nokonoko Road, Grantham Road in Rewanga and Princess Road in Tamavua. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The Fijian Broadcasting Corporation has welcomed a Fijian Elections Office survey report that the majority of Fijians gathered their election information via television. FBC Chief Executive Riaz Said Qayyum says this solidifies the reliability of traditional news media. Apinisa Wangarandova reports there are still concerns over the reliance on social media.
The FEO report states that television is the most popular platform for accessing election information, with almost 1/3 of the audience preference.
It doesn't come as much of a surprise to us. We're just pleased that another independent body has confirmed what we've suspected and have known all along.
Said Qayyum says an earlier independent survey showed 73% of Fijians preferred to watch FBC TV news. However, the FEO report highlights that among Fijians who did not vote, 29% turned to social media as their preference medium.
And we're not very surprised that a lot of people that did not vote rely on social media, because social media does peddle a lot of misinformation about what's happening not only in our country but around the world as well.
Social media platforms were used to push misinformation against the 2018 general election, the final results, as well as to tarnish the image of the Fiji Elections Office.
Going into 2022, we will be able to build capacity for all Fijian social media users to be able to point out information that is correct, that is factual, and information that is fake news, or information that has been designed to create disinformation.
Said Qayyum adds FBC is committed to campaigning against fake news on social media, which it has been doing in the past. Apinisa Wangardobu, FBC News.
The Health Ministry says it is concerned with the number of infants diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Apinisa Wangarandova reports Colonial War Memorial Hospital consultant, General Surgeon Dr. Ilaitien Delasau says these babies will suffer long-term effects.
Infants diagnosed with type 1 diabetes will have to live on insulin jabs all their life.
Type 1 diabetes are found or diagnosed in newborns that show signs and symptoms of diabetes. So developmental delay, slow growth, they have symptoms that suggestive that they've got diabetes. So they don't have insulin, so they don't have their pancreas, which is the organ that produces insulin, is not working.
Type 1 diabetes can't be reversed, but Dr. Delasau says managing lifestyles can help Fijians stay healthy.
We want us to change that mentality that we can have small portions, but more exercise. Because that's the key factor why we're so many diabetic in Fiji. We eat too much, our diet is changing. There's a lot of processed food, there's less greens, less vegetables, there's more fast foods. So we need to exercise more.
Health Minister Dr. Efraimi Wanganambete says there is a higher chance the percentage of people living with diabetes in Fiji will increase.
Every 10 years it goes up by about 2 to 3 to 4%. So you could possibly estimate that we'll be sitting at about, say, 18-19%. But again, as I said, we need to be able to do the step survey and do the data to be able to show that.
66 amputations due to diabetes were done at the Colonial War Memorial Hospital from last September to November alone. 11 were above knee, 24 toe amputations, 22 below knee, and 9 forfeit amputations. Apiniswa Ngerandovu, FBC News.
Reports of serious crimes in Inkandavu have dropped since the drug operations began in June last year. According to the Inkandavu Police Station Officer Inspector Chosuan Daveta, reports of domestic violence and sexual offences are on the decline. Daveta says this is likely due to the high number of joint drug raids conducted from June to December last year. He adds 48 people were arrested in that period and 4 people have been arrested since operations started in January this year. Daveta says there's a lot of support from community leaders as they're trying to change the perception of Inkandavu being a red zone for drugs. Meanwhile, the acting Commissioner of Police has acknowledged and commended the executives of the Methodist Church of Fiji and Rotuma in supporting the ongoing crime prevention efforts on the island. Retailers in Suva are being urged to make arrangements with landlords if they're struggling to pay rent. Some commercial tenants have raised concerns that they can't keep up with their lease payments. Apinisa Wangarandovu reports.
The Minister for Economy says he understands the plight of commercial tenants because some property owners show no sympathy.
A lot of the landlords were actually absentee landlords. They were living in Auckland and Sydney, etc. And they refuse to bring down the rental prices. They're quite happy to lock up the shops, but they have to bring down the price, which is unfortunate.
Syed Kayum says while it's difficult for authorities to intervene since it's a market-driven issue, but has urged landlords to think outside the box.
To be able to, go in and start controlling commercial rental, I think, it requires a lot of resources. It is distorting the market. And I think it is foolishness on the part of the landlords to maintain those prices if they still want to have a healthy commercial environment.
Suva Retailers Association President Jitesh Patel says while there is no freeze on commercial rent, landlords and tenants should negotiate a deal that works for both parties.
Some landowners are easygoing, they will listen to you and work with you. But 1 or 2 are hard ones that don't want to change anything. But we can't force anyone.
Business operators say a slump in sales has affected revenue, but rental rates has stayed the same since COVID-19 hit. Apiniswa Ngerandovu, FBC News.
Up ahead, Police Commissioner wants better service delivery and growth in mobile money use.
Baik tu dia jadi beratahu Radio Fiji बहुत Radio Fiji रोज सुनता हूँ.
Radio Fiji 2 देश की धड़कन.
Acting Police Commissioner Rusiati Tundravu has renewed his call for police officers to improve service delivery and professionalism. A Thanksgiving service was held this morning to reflect on the work of the force in 2020. Tundravu commended his men and women for the progress made last year and encouraged everyone to aim higher in 2021. He noted that serious crimes also decreased in the last 12 months.
Internally, externally. The very basic thing. That is something that I would like to see improve drastically in this organization. The way that we address people. I've already directed you address anybody coming interested with you, sirs and madam, irrespective of the status.
Church members of Victory Assemblies of God in Makoi, Nosori, were locked out of their church when they showed up for Sunday service today. The church has been embroiled in a dispute over Pastor Ami Chand, whom worshippers claim is verbally abusive. Jeshu Lal reports.
Close to 60 people turned up to the Victory AOG Church in Makoi, only to be told that the place of worship was not open to them.
We were not allowed to go in. We were praying outside, but they stopped us. We also got wet while praying outside.
Churchgoers took videos on their mobile phones showing officials from the AOG head office preventing them from entering.
There is no one with us. We are hoping for some help to reach out to us.
It is a sad day for us as we are ending our 21 days fasting today, but we were not permitted to go inside the church.
Church pastor Ami Chand, who is at the center of the dispute, was not present at the church today. FBC News has attempted to speak with AOG church executives on numerous occasions, only to be told that no comments will be made. Jeshu Lal, FBC News.
The volume of ATM transactions has doubled in the last decade, from 12.6 million per year in 2010 to 23.2 million at the end of 2019. This was confirmed by Reserve Bank Governor Arif Ali during a presentation to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights on the National Payment Systems Bill 2020. FPOS transactions have tripled since 2010, from 1.8 million to 5.4 million at the end of 2019. In the last 5 years, internet banking has grown by 109%, while the use of checks fell 57%. Payments totaling $71.1 billion were processed through mobile money platforms in 2019, compared to around $13.1 million in 2014. 150,000 customers are on Vodafone and Digicel's mobile money platforms. The hashtag #IPlanted50 initiative by the Agriculture Ministry has been commended by the receiving communities. The program, which was upscaled from the Village Nutrition Security Initiative, involves the planting of 50 fruit trees at 50 select villages around the country as part of the ministry's efforts to ensure the nutritional security of Fijian villages. Agriculture Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy spearheaded the program implementation yesterday at Wangadra village in Nandronga, with the simultaneous planting of fruit trees being held at selected villages from all the 4 geographical divisions. Dr. Reddy says though rural and maritime communities had a steady source of staple foods like dalo, cassava and yams, there was always a shortage of nutritional foods available to them.
In 5 years' time, your children, your great children in future will have access to free fruits so that they can have balanced nutrition.
In life, there is no difficulty which cannot be overcome when there is determination and commitment. This is true for Jean Matthias, the operations manager of Field Ready, who believes positivity helps in achieving goals and attaining success. Kritika Kumar reports.
Born in Nosori and brought up in Singatoka, Matthias never dreamt of coordinating ground activities and helping vulnerable Fijians.
My parents started helping people at younger age, so this was my dream job. I wanted to work for a humanitarian sector or NGO, but actually I worked my way up, started to do my education in FNU, and then I ended up in USP doing my degree.
Field Ready is an NGO which provides humanitarian support after natural disasters or when there is a need in any community. The 40-year-old has been instrumental in implementing projects which provide unique assistance, preparing for and responding to disasters in the country.
The thing that we face is the delay of materials coming in and transportation, logistic of trying to get product across to the community in times of disasters response. So those are some of the challenges that we face. But
Matthias, who is a mother of two, recently received the Humanitarian of the Year award by Field Ready's governing board.
Yes, it was a surprise, a big surprise for me. I received the flying news from my director and my Pacific lead, Mr. Luke Johnstone and Eric on New Year's Eve. And I was so speechless about this award. I realized that after my 30 years of work, that people or the organization has seen my hard work towards what I've done over the years.
Her readiness to take on tasks, no matter how small or how big, inspires others and makes many want to do better.
I always tell them is being positive. Whatever circumstances they face in the reality, it's very important to be positive, because you may be having family problems, you may be having financial problems, you may be not smart, but if God has given you two hands, two legs that you can think, you can do anything. You can do anything.
Matthias has skillfully coordinated Field Ready's activities in Fiji through several responses, the most recent being the current response to the damage caused by tropical cyclone Yasa. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Overseas, U.S. President Joe Biden says his country's COVID-19 response is now under new management. He signed a slew of executive orders taking both mask-wearing and science seriously.
On his first full day in the job, President Joe Biden declared war on the coronavirus.
We're in a national emergency, and it's time we treat it like one.
Ramping up the supply of syringes and rolling out hundreds of testing sites.
While the vaccines provide so much hope, the rollout has been a dismal failure thus far.
Joe Biden wants 100 million shots in American arms in the next 100 days.
Is that high enough? Should be far higher than basically where the U.S. is right now?
When I announced it, you all said it's not possible. Come on, give me a break, man.
Also talking tough on arrivals stateside, demanding negative COVID tests and quarantine.
Let me be very clear. Things are going to continue to get worse before they get better.
Outside the walls of the White House, the fencing came down, but the soldiers stayed. So too the street vendors.
What are you hoping for now with the Biden administration in place?
Hey, there's more peace. No tweets.
There was no tweeting, just TV cameras capturing a sight not seen in the last administration, everyone wearing masks. And the nation's infectious diseases expert is back, speaking with no fear of upsetting his boss.
The idea that you can get up here and talk about what you know, what the evidence, what the science is, and no, that's it. Let the science speak. It is somewhat of a liberating feeling.
Dr. Fauci will lead the US delegation of the World Health Organization, a reversal of Trump's policy. Coronavirus might be Mr. Biden's most pressing problem, but it's not this country's only one, and the incoming administration's decided to take a different focus for each day left in January. Tomorrow it's the economy. Next week, healthcare, immigration, climate change, equity, and buy American made. But the president warns results won't be immediate.
We didn't get into this mess overnight. It's going to take months for us to turn things around.
Joe Biden's inherited a health crisis not seen in decades. His first 24 hours in charge, a sign he plans to take back control.
Up ahead in sports, Ravinesh Kumar withdraws complaint against Fiji FA. And next, Super Series leg in Nandi.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोंगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
The former Fiji football technical director has withdrawn his employment dispute against the Fiji FA. Ravinesh Kumar had lodged a complaint against Fiji FA with the Labour Ministry, claiming he was owed money. However, Kumar claims he had withdrawn the matter based on a gentleman's agreement that he would be paid and that Fiji FA has not come through.
Fiji FA President Rajesh Patel says as far as they are concerned, Kumar has no case against them.
Ravinesh Kumar has withdrawn it and everything, and he is migrated to New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, so there is no case. We have got a withdrawal letter from him that was signed in front of the officer that was there.
Responding to this, Kumar says he's in New Zealand for a short visit and has not moved permanently. But more importantly, he's still to be paid his dues.
My withdrawal was done last year on the basis that they will settle my payments. That is the option which I have ticked in the Labour Department form which I filled in the presence of the Labour officer. This was agreed in a gentleman's agreement between Mr. Patel, Mr. Yasmusa and myself.
The Fiji FA president maintains everyone, including Kumar, has been paid.
As far as we are concerned, we paid every employee their dues. None of the employees, even the COVID-19 times, we had paid the employees and everything.
Kumar, who is the only A-licensed coach in the country, is hoping good sense will prevail.
I am understood that Fiji FA is having a board meeting next week and they will settle my payments in the board meeting and they will also clear me from coaching any other team.
The former Lautoka coach was recently appointed as the new Nandi mentor before leaving for New Zealand. Aquila Dhama, FBC Sports.
Police White defeated Thailand Tasiri 4-2 in an extra-time thriller to win the Fiji FA Open Beach Soccer Tournament in Suva this afternoon. The match went down to the wire as both teams were locked at 2-2 at full time, and the winner had to be decided in extra time. Police White captain Shahil Dave gave them a perfect start in the extra spell before Tebita Warnivalu scored the final goal to seal the win. Warnivalu says beach football is quite interesting.
Me personally, I'm used to playing in 11-a-side, but playing in the beach, it's a bit tough. Adapting into this game in 2 days, it's quite tough for me and especially for the boys too.
Police Blue captain Keponi Paul believes that there are a lot of areas they will need to improve on ahead of the second leg of the FRU Super Sevens series. Despite winning the cup final in Singapore yesterday, a number of concerns surround the side's performance. Felipe Naikaso has more.
It was a perfect start to the series. However, the narrow 7-5 win over Raiwasa Taviuni raises more questions for the Police Blue side.
And also I want to salute the Raiwasa for giving us a good final, and also for the police team for giving their best shots in the final.
A scrappy game from both sides due to the wet conditions at Lawanga Park, but Police Blue hit first through Waisena Dhungu. Taviuni suffered a huge blow in the second half after they were reduced to 6 men following a late tackle. But handling errors also played a huge part as both teams struggled to score.
For police team, winning this first series is very important for us, especially this first tournament this year. We would like to start well, and we also been lost in the finals last year. So that's why we tell the boys to pull out the socks.
Fiji Sevens coach Gareth Baber was also impressed with the number of players during the two-day tournament. However, he says discipline is still a major area of concern.
I think keeping people on the field, there's got to be discipline and control. It's the number one priority that World Rugby have issued, and there's obvious reasons why they do that in terms of safety and bringing kids into the game, and there's something we need to improve.
Police now lead the series table with 22 points, followed by Raiwasa Taviuni on 19 points and Barbarians with 17. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
Officiating matches is not easy in any sport, but getting the necessary qualification helps. This is an area where Fiji touch rugby is lacking and wants to bridge the gap soon. Aquila Dhama reports no local touch rugby referee has had international experience.
The laws of the game are changing, so it's important to have referees well trained.
As for this season, we would like to have all the referees on board to be fully accredited for FIT accreditation level 2.
Getting the relevant accreditation would be a step closer to the international arena for our match officials.
At the moment, none of our officials have officiated in the FIT sanctioned tournaments. That's the Pacific Games or the World Cup. but we are planning to develop our referees so that they can participate in the upcoming Pacific Games and the World Cup.
Fiji Tats President Evita Mau says they are serious about getting the proper help for their referees.
People sometimes might not have the opportunity to represent Fiji, in the playing arena, but some have, in other sports they have ascended to in terms of administration, and we are having the same pathway for our referees.
Fiji Tats Rugby has its first National Club Championship in September, and by then they hope to have more qualified referees. Aquila Thama, FBC Sports.
It's been 16 years since Eric Rush retired as arguably New Zealand Sevens' greatest player. Memories of his playing days came flooding back as his son Brady Rush starts his career with the All Black Sevens as he is signed for the side this year. A trough of low pressure lies over the western parts of the group. Associated cloud and rain continues to affect the northern and western parts of the country. In the west, occasional rain, heavy at times, and a few thunderstorms, rain becoming frequent and heavy with squally thunderstorms from Monday night. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, more heavy rain and thunderstorms over the next 24 hours. And up north, no major change with more wet conditions to persist. At sea, north to northwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas, moderate southwest swells, poor visibility in areas of heavy rain and thunderstorms. Turning to the tides, the next low tide is at 3:46 a.m. tomorrow, with low tide at 9:26 a.m. Sunrise is at 5:53. For tomorrow, heavy rain and thunderstorms are forecast for the Fiji group. Outlook for Tuesday, occasional rain, heavy at times, and a few thunderstorms over most places. Recapping our main stories, FRA diverts $40 million for TCSA repairs, more infants born with diabetes, and television remains popular. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. This week's polling question: should the next daylight saving be extended for a longer period? Visit our FBC website to answer. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, Madhumanta.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोमगा लेबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में